morning there. You're watching QTV This Morning, and I am Jennifer Sonko here with my amazing co-host Ibrahim Balde, as well as our newspaper review guest, Mr. Ade Durami. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us.
Thank
Pleasure,
you.
as always, to be invited.
Lady, it's good to be here with you all the time, especially when a man like Mr. Ade joined us on this program, because Ade, it's a library. Where people
but I thought you said Mr. Mojo was the library. So now you're shifting your attention because he's not been here for a while.
There can be more than one library.
Why am I'm using QCell today.
QCell cup.
We innovate, others follow. QCell.
Terms and conditions
Terms and conditions apply.
Call 111 for more information.
You're just trying to upset us because Mariama is not here to provide coffee for everybody.
Yeah.
So you somebody.
You know what? You know what Mandinka say? Fankung fankung.
Which is what?
Your own, my own.
Yeah.
You understand? So.
Cool. Okay.
Exactly. Yes. So we are back again.
So it's another Wednesday.
Another cool and wet Wednesday morning here.
And it rained yesterday.
It rained around, I think it's around 6.
6 o'clock this morning.
So 6 is not a good time.
No, by then people are getting up.
So?
Let's be honest.
Who said so?
Excuse me.
6 is a good time.
Anyway, as usual, we have the newspaper review here, our African proverb. On Community Watch today, this is something that we've treated before prior to the start of the rainy season, but it's just a follow-up on preparedness when it comes to the rainy season on the side of the NDMA. And also on social issues, we'll be taking a look at Fact Check Gambia for the first time. Will be joining us here to talk about the work that they do at Fact Check, checking all the facts, ensuring that what the public gets to receive is verified, and it's been going well, and it's been quite helpful, especially during the elections. And now they are developed to an extent that they are now part of an African network of fact checkers due to the work that they've been doing since they came a few months ago.
Which is good.
Yes, so we're joined by Omar Cyber Camera, who'll be here to talk to us about all the work that they do. And on Click today, we'll be joined by ST Birkama Boyo, on a separate mission, because with his ST Foundation, he's championing a tree planting initiative, contributing to, the environmental problems existing. So this is what we expect from artists as well, Cool. With the influence that you have, you get to use that to also impact change in other areas. I think he
needs to be commended for that.
He needs
Absolutely.
to be. He needs to be. Yeah. So, moving on. What is our African proverb, Ibrahim?
Yeah, once again, when your grandmother tells you something, you don't run to ask your mother if it's true. When your grandmother tells you something, you don't run to ask your mother if it's true.
Mr. Ade is laughing. Why?
I'm laughing because I'm on record as being somebody who I did not have a good relationship with my grandmother.
Okay.
Well, you always say this.
all the time.
Okay, but she is supposed to be your wife.
Exactly.
So when I hear that, I have to laugh.
So whenever she tells you something, you rush to your mom?
Hell yeah.
you rush to your mom to fact check.
To fact check it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Honestly, I've never hidden this, and as I said, you've just confirmed. I've said it many times.
Many times.
We did not get on. So when I hear this, this is my maternal grandmother.
Okay.
My paternal grandmother, on the other hand, Grandma Dou, I got on very well with, is Grandma Janet, after whom one of my sisters is named.
Okay.
We just never got on, and we lived in her house for the first 9 months of my parents returning to Sierra Leone once they'd completed their studies. And honestly, we argued every day.
Oh wow!
I was always a quietly argumentative child. I knew what I believed to be right,
and that's good.
And I didn't care if you were an adult, if you were my grandparent.
That's good.
I would not in a rude way.
Yeah.
I didn't think.
Yeah.
But she felt that the mere fact that a child
can talk about what they want.
Kind of, yes. And saying, sorry, Grandma, I don't agree with this. Just like, what's wrong with this child? What's wrong with it? So we never got on. And in fact, there's a picture of when she was in her coffin, and they asked all the grandchildren to line up and have a photograph taken of us. I'm the only one who's actually turning the other way.
In the coffin?
She's in the coffin, and everybody's facing the camera, and I've got my back to the camera.
And you were like... Look at his grandmother.
So that proverb, someone else will have to take that one and run with it. It didn't apply to me.
Well, I mean, I think the proverb. It's not.
I'm taking it literally, but it's not to be taken literally.
It's telling you experience is the best teacher.
This is true.
It's telling you. I mean, you know, all of njay mune kula mag upala sagar.
Wow. You know, why do see libuneka?
Yeah, but it's telling you to listen to people with experience. But when you say experience is the best teacher, the example I always give is that you can't experience something for me. If I am to find out that if I put my hand in fire, it's going to burn me, Jennifer can I don't feel it. I have to feel it and be burnt. And that is the experience for me.
Yeah.
So that's the way that experience teaches me something, you know. But
we
listen to
the sad part
age
is
and wisdom.
About this is that sometimes wisdom, that's what it is.
It's about
but
age and
when
wisdom.
It comes to the experience is different for different people.
Sure.
So sometimes people have their own experiences and they tend to want to force that on other people, and people's narratives are different. This might be this way for you and then this way for another person.
You know, it's like, you know, I've mentioned this before when I've gone to weddings and they've asked me to be a guest speaker.
Yeah.
And if I come after a couple who say, you know, we've been married for 50 years, you know, just follow our example and you will be perfect. No. You know, I always come and say,
what happened?
You know, respect them, but they are not you. You are a different couple. You have to find your own way. You know, what worked for them might not work for you.
You have your own way
Ade,
of handling your things.
Yeah. When it comes to people being married for a certain age and trying to force it on other people, that's what brings about maybe you're not even happy, but you feel like it's important to stay in that marriage for a certain period of time for people to applaud you, rather than having to get into multiple marriages and then you're looking for your own happiness and your own peace in it. There's a difference between these two. But nowadays the concept is that the moment you married and you have kids, you can't leave that marriage because kids already exist.
Well, I mean,
and this has to do with your sanity.
Jennifer, I don't think I agree.
Really?
Yes, I do not agree. I do not agree on certain things. Although
tell me about
few
it.
things, I mean, that you mentioned are right. You don't have to stay in a marriage that is, I mean, toxic, that is giving you a whole lot of mental problem. Okay. You understand? But it's not necessarily, I mean, you have to stay in the marriage by force to be happy. I mean, it's important to copy sometimes people that stayed long in marriages because certain things, they've been very careful on certain things. I mean, the reason why today we have a large number of divorce in our societies, it's because people want to live anyhow they want. People don't want to take certain things from their partner.
No.
There is no, listen, there is no rosy marriage.
We know that.
You understand?
We know that.
There is no rosy marriage. It's important.
Mr.
No, listen. No, allow me to learn.
Okay, learn and then I will learn on you.
It's important.
And they will learn on top of you.
Yes. It is very important. I'll be very happy. I didn't say that.
Microphone didn't pick it up.
Microphone check. It's important for you to consider your mental health when it comes to marriages. But also, it's important for you to see how to sustain that marriage. I mean, you cannot stay in a marriage and say there will not be any issue.
No.
If at all you are considering issues in marriages, then you will be jumping from one marriage
I grew
to
up
another.
in the 60s in
Whether
Sierra
you
Leone.
agree or not, that's my own
I grew up
opinion.
in the 60s in Sierra Leone, and there were some marriages where people stuck together because they felt that it would be a shame, it would be a disgrace. The marriages were toxic. They were toxic. There's no way those people should have stayed together.
No way.
You know, there were people who lived either side of our house where we grew up. They were wife beaters. They stayed married for 25 years. For what? So you get a beating every month, every week? Come on. For what?
That is wrong.
You know, so, you know,
well,
and those people will brag about, we've got a long-lasting marriage.
You see from the point that I am taking it, and I think that point you mentioned, you have a reason for moving on.
Course.
That's a reason. You cannot stay in a marriage that, you know, there's a whole lot of beatings, there's a whole lot of violence. You can stay in that marriage. I understand. But I mean, some people, they divorce for no reason.
We are not talking. Every divorce, it comes with something, Mr.
Listen,
Ade. And
some
people
don't
say
don't say,
some
yeah,
people
because you're not there. You're not in the marriage to know.
You are not
Mr. Ade,
come
truth
on,
is that.
come on. I've been in this society now.
People are in their marriages. People
know.
are in their marriages, and society is making them believe that because you have kids, you can't leave that marriage.
No,
because
that's a long-standing thing.
financial. Sometimes it's about the man understanding that, oh, if she leaves, you know, she's not financially okay. Some people are in marriages because of the fact that they can't take care of themselves. They're in it.
I will not allow you to poison the mind of the people.
Wait, I'm not poisoning. These are established facts.
I mean, I think
what she's saying is that every marriage is different. Just because something works for you doesn't mean it works for everybody.
I think what she's saying. No, what she's saying.
Don't stay in your marriage for your children.
No, what Jenaba is saying.
No.
What Jenaba is saying. It's very wrong.
No, it's not.
Okay.
Why should I stay in a toxic marriage because of children?
It's a point of view.
You have your own reason of not staying in a particular marriage.
Exactly.
And she's giving you
but
examples.
some people, they leave marriages for no reason.
Well, I can't judge them.
Even if you are to divorce.
Never say that.
Even if
because you are not in their shoes.
Exactly.
So don't keep saying for no reason. You don't know. They will never tell you the reason.
They will never
tell you the reason.
Unless you
are They will never tell me. But I have also.
So stop saying that.
Listen, I have tried solving marital problems. I mean, between couples.
Sometimes
you understand? Certain things people want to leave for no reason. You understand?
They have their reasons. It's confidential, maybe. They don't want to share it with you.
They don't want to share it with you. If they go to the point of breaking up, there is a reason.
There must be an underlying factor.
They haven't told you.
We have seen women that left their husband because of finance. We have seen that.
And you say
it's a free wall.
And you say
it shouldn't be a free wall. We have seen women leaving their husbands because of finance. We have seen that.
And it's their choice.
That's not a reason.
Let's be open-minded.
It's not a proper reason.
Let me give you an example. A friend of mine who, I was going to say the name, and this is a true story. They got married, and when they got married, when they were courting, everything was fine. They worked in the same office, and that's how they met and fell in love. On the first month, end of month, when they got married, they were sitting in the house, and she said, okay, let's put the finances together and see how much we're going to spend for the next month. First month of their marriage. And he said, and this is true, he said, I've been to the betting shop and I lost all my money. He'd been betting on horses and he lost. I'm telling you, she never realized that there was that he was such a gambler that he would spend every last penny of his wages he lost on horses that day. Trust me, the marriage never recovered from that. Within 6 months, they split up. Within a year, they were divorced.
And Mr. Ade, you know what's funny? I am from a society, fine. I know people will be like, oh, she's not married. I'm a journalist, for crying out loud. It's okay for me to talk about any topic, married or not. I'm in the societies. I know what is happening in societies. I know what's happening in societies.
Listen, you are a journalist. I understand.
Things are happening.
It's important.
Mr.
Ade.
Anyone can have an opinion.
She is a journalist.
And it is my opinion. Don't stay in a marriage just because of your kids. It's you first, your mental health.
Well, you know what I'm going. You know what I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait until Jenaba get married.
Then we
will start arguing on these things.
No, I won't stay in that marriage.
When they get married,
I will not stay in that marriage.
You will never hear Jenaba again.
Watch me.
Will keep
Let's
hearing
go for a short break. And
men, please wait for Mr. Ade at the main door. If he's going out, please take him away.
Let's go for a short break. And when we come back, the program continues. Do stay tuned.
QMoney, the biggest mobile money service in the Gambia, has taken mobile banking to the next level. Now, you can link your QMoney wallet with your bank account. Yes, link your Ajib or EcoBank accounts with your QMoney wallet and get instant access to your cash anytime. No need to queue at the bank anymore. Transfer funds from your bank account to your wallet or your wallet to your bank account using QMoney Bank Link is the fastest, most secure and convenient way to transfer funds between your wallet and bank account. For more information, call our customer care on 133. QMoney, Sunyu Kalpe. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back from that short break, and if you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV News. QTV this morning.
You see?
You actually
You see?
Because you were saying you were
You see the thing?
Because I was talking about that. You were watching QTV this morning.
Here,
I think, Mr. Ade, we should have a marriage counselor or something.
Never mind. We should have a show that talks about marriage issues.
And also, I'm sad about the fact that Gambians feel if you're not married,
don't generalize.
You are from okay. There are certain people who are not open-minded.
A person who is not married.
No, let me wait.
Listen.
Allow me, Mr. Ade. I'm very disappointed. You know what? Just every single time I'm talking about the fact that people should be more open-minded about things, and people are not. Not being married does not mean that I do not understand things that are happening. I'm a Gambian.
You're a human being.
Things.
Well, I mean,
and I have every right to talk about things.
You know, this is a very interesting topic.
Yes.
I mean, I understand people should be open-minded.
They should be.
You understand? But to the extent where you people want people to be open-minded, it's going to destroy our society.
It's not destroying our society. If your sanity is at stake,
it will save your society.
Do it.
Newspaper review, please.
Yes.
It will save your society.
Yes. It will save your society to avoid toxicity.
I was looking to see whether...
And also, Mr. Ade, kids growing up in broken homes.
Can we go to the
Can someone come and marry Jenaba for me, please?
Yes, please.
Anyway, moving on.
Yes, to the newspaper. I was looking for a divorce story, but I can't find one. So
we need a caddy here. Next week we'll invite a caddy, and this is going to be a topic.
We'll have to make do with what we have. So I have the Point newspaper in front of me. To the left, it says SIS gets new Deputy Director General. In case anybody doesn't know, it's the State Intelligence Service. And then Senabu Mbai, others charged with manslaughter. Again, this is the so-called Bob Keita case. It's connected. Energy Minister to promote upstream, I think the text is opportunities at Africa Energy Week. And Vice President, lack of sense of direction impedes waste management, something I'm very concerned about. And to the right here, good corporate governance is foundation for healthy, functional organization. Jennifer, front page. That's all I have.
So here we have that Sena Mumbai and two others charged with manslaughter, remanded, and also downpour affects Dipakunda Farokono neighborhood. The NDMA is here who further delve into that. And also Minister Samate presides over opening of joint annual health sector review. I think that is all we have here as of now. Yeah.
So anyone grab you particularly?
I'm not sure.
Well, for me, I mean, the one that grabs me is one of my many obsessions.
Okay.
And that's the Vice President saying a lack of sense of direction impedes waste management. We know that waste management is a major problem here. If people watch QTV News today, they'll see a piece by our colleague Ajibintu Drame. And the images you will see are not computer generated. They are real images of filth around our country. And you know, in some areas you have to ask yourself, are people blind? I remember I was driving once to Brikama, and I said to my colleague who was driving, I said, can you stop so I can take pictures and video of this? He said, of what? I said, what do you mean of what?
Of things
the roadway for about 2 miles was strewn with rubbish that people had discarded. Everything from old chairs to mattresses and it was horrible. You know, and it's like, okay, why are they doing this? Is it because there's nowhere for them to put it? Or, you know, so you have that. Then you have the type. So at this event, I saw one of the ministers actually quote something which I've quoted 100 times, is that people are driving in their cars and they start throwing rubbish out. You know, so we all have a role to play in waste management. We can't just say we're leaving it to the government, we're leaving it to the local councils. We have a role. If you are in a car and you are throwing your rubbish out of the window, wait till you get home. Put it in the bin at home. But people can't be bothered. And you know nobody's going to come and sweep it. So why are you doing that?
And another thing is, I think what the minister is trying to put across here is very important. That is, waste management should be coordinated, like its approach. Because you can see that when it comes to waste management, it's just stakeholders working on it. They're just everywhere.
Piecemeal.
It's too
piecemeal.
You know, it's everywhere. Everybody is trying to work on it on their own different way. So this is about not councils competing government. This is about government, the main central, and then councils coming together to look for you know, a strategic roadmap that they can actually use rather than having to politicize issues as such. An NGO will come to say, okay, today we're doing pit compost.
This little corner.
You know, that little components that cannot come together to create the change that we're looking forward
They use the phrase, we need a clear roadmap.
We need a clear roadmap.
To guide councils improving their waste management.
And it is beyond councils, you know. It has to, you know, because waste management has now become such a huge problem for us. So it should really be taken in a very holistic way and, you know, approach and not politicized.
No, this is, and the reason I'm concerned about this is because, you know, when rubbish affects you, it doesn't affect you because you belong to UDP or NPP. It affects everybody.
Yeah.
And so what the Vice President is saying, that this national dialogue should, at the end of it, provide a platform where people can share experience. What's the problem in our area? How did we overcome it? You know, what's the problem in your area? Can we help you, you know, solve it, you know, and share that experience? That's not happening. And so what they should come up with at the end is a clear one.
You know, Mr. Ade, I'm so sad when politicians, you know, have their campaign and use something quite strongly. Can you remember, you know, during the mayoral election, how waste management was such a topic.
Big
it was so fragile, everyone carrying it like this. And then later disappears. It was the same thing when I interviewed Honorable Suleiman Jame about the anti-corruption bill. It's not like the political will is there, obviously, but you can see that there's one MP that I approached in the same program. I told him, hey, I wanted to interview you because I'm interviewing MPs about, you know, using the anti-corruption bill as a campaign tool. And now what is the way forward? He said he never used it. What MP in this country can raise their hand to say, during my campaign, I did not say I am in support of the anti-corruption bill. I swear to God, this is what this particular MP told me in this particular gathering.
They all did. You know, and you know, this is just symptomatic of a lot of things that, and it is why people lose trust in politicians. I remember in the 2007 elections in Sierra Leone, somebody who was campaigning for the presidency, no less, we had organized a conference in London. We were going to link up with all the presidential candidates, and he pulled out an hour before we were due to broadcast live. And I phoned his team and I said, you know, why has he pulled out? And he said, well, you know, he doesn't feel that the diaspora is that important because they don't vote. And I said he needs to go to page 10 of his own manifesto. And I read it out. He talked about the importance of it. I said, tell him for me that he obviously did not write his own manifesto. And the guy said, he's here, he's listening. I said, put him on the phone, please. He put him on the phone and I told him. I said, you should be ashamed of yourself. I said, this is in your manifesto on page 10.
Must have been plagiarized.
And I've just quoted for it. And you're now telling me it's not important? When the first line of that page 10 is about how important the diaspora is. So politicians say these things, but something like waste management, we can't have them play with it because it affects everybody's health. The countries that manage waste well, their people live 10, 12 years more than a Gambian.
Life expectancy.
Life expectancy can be 10 or 12 years more. So it's important for our health. It's not just to make the place and the area look good. It's for our own health. We're doing it, you know.
Well, that's a problem.
So, you know,
waste
thumbs
management.
up to the VP saying, you know, we need a clear roadmap to
there should be
do this and coordinate it properly.
Exactly. I mean, I think they should come up with actions as well. I mean, not only mentioning it. You know, the problem that we have here, I think politicians, they know the problem of Gambians. They know how to trick certain group of people when we are in the political era. That's why they use that as an approach.
Well, I'll tell you something, because this thing, the second part of it was there was a practical element to it. So they didn't just come and talk. So Rohi John Manjang, Minister for Environment, at the end of the day, they handed over 635 waste bins to councils and 10 tricycles to be used for waste collection. So they're doing something practical. So, you know, in the morning they talked about it. We need this, we need this, we need that. And then in the afternoon they did this handing over of we need more than 635. We need 20,000 of these.
It's important. But what happened to all this KMC bin that we used to have on our streets? I mean, you cannot find them anymore. So sustainability, it's our problem.
And you know what? Even when you could find them, and I hope people from KMC are watching this, because this is a real incident. It happened and I took a picture. I was walking down Kairaba Avenue and I saw one of these bins which had like a car tire as part of the
one that the
design.
young people did.
That's right, and so you could lift up the lid. So I was sucking an orange, and I lifted it to put the orange I'd finished sucking, and there was nothing else in the bin. I dropped the orange, but then something struck me. At the foot of the bin, people had thrown banana skin, orange skin. Nobody could be bothered to just lift that thing. And so I took a picture of it. And they will confirm this. I sent it to them. I sent it to Aisha, who was then the comms.
Maybe they
but
might.
I sent it to her. I said, look at this. I said, your bins are not being used.
You don't necessarily throw it into the bin,
well,
but you can throw it around the bin.
At the foot of the bin. And this is the point I was making about the public has a role to play.
They do.
It doesn't take the council, it doesn't KMC to come and lift the bin for you. Why couldn't you be bothered to lift it and just put it in? I really laughed, and I took a picture with my phone.
And also, even people, there are allegations of even the public stealing the bins.
Of course, he's asking where are the bins. What do you think happened to them? People have nicked them.
They just take them away.
So
and you're the same citizens calling for cleanliness.
And you'll complain, and you'll phone up when the MP or the councilor is on, you phone in programs and complain and blast them.
What are you doing at your own level?
What are you doing?
It has to do with also us directly taking care for these things.
Yeah, quite.
So the minister here, Minister Samate, presides over opening of joint annual health sector review. It's good to have reviews, to check where we are and where we're heading to, considering that our health sector is quite vulnerable and insufficient.
Well, this is true, and I watched as well as the news reports, I watched the video, the longer version of it, and they're looking at all aspects of our health sector and the system. So if you think about before COVID, we had communities that had never had an ambulance since independence. COVID forced us to. People donated ambulances, we bought ambulances. A lot of communities have, a lot more still need, and so you had that infusion of resources that were missing. But there are lots of other things that we need. COVID again showed the fragility of our healthcare system. We're still in a situation where lots of people come to QTV and say, I can't get treatment in the Gambia. Can you publicize my case so that I can go overseas? Now they're trying to change that by getting people to train as surgeons and so on and specialize so that they can actually start treating people here. So they looked at all of those things.
I think the local component of their specialization is very important. Because the last time we had the gynecologist here, and to further justify that it's working is when they travel outside of the Gambia and take exams, they get to pass. Then it means that it's working. We can do a lot of things locally.
That's it. And some of the reports they had at that review were from things like Bundung maternal health. I mean, they posted recently that they had 98.7 of live births where and so they want to get to a point where there are 0 maternal deaths, and that's so that's quite a high percentage, and they were really pleased about it, and they tweeted about it, and I was one of those who liked it and shared.
I think they do. Bundung is doing very well.
They're doing very well. They're doing very well. And these ones that are doing well, I think we should pick them up and mention them. And get others to emulate them. And we're talking about information sharing. They should be contacted by other health centers and say, how do you do it? How did you achieve what you've achieved? And they should share that information. And hopefully they're doing that.
I think they can actually these they can learn from each other, because there are a lot of allegations. I would call them allegations because we do not have the evidence in relation to private hospitals. We can't tell because we are not the experts, but these allegations are there. So I think, the ministry should also look into allegations from the public in relation to existing private hospitals, that sometimes there's not even need for a C-section and they do a C-section for the money. I can't confirm that. But I think part of this review is to also check private hospitals and the way that they operate,
as I said, it's quite extensive. I don't know whether they got as deep as that.
But that should be looked into.
It's a valid
because
point.
There's this already lack of confidence from the public when it comes to private hospitals. What to what extent should it be for an individual to be referred to Banjul? All of these things. Because sometimes when an individual is referred, it's when the person is already dying. We're not the experts here, but these are things that comes from the public, and I think really it needs to be looked into, to be honest.
Definitely. Different allegations. I mean, when it comes to private hospitals. I mean, you mentioned Bundung maternal. Yes. I mean, I think they are a very good hospital. Sure. I'm speaking from experience, you know, and the cleanliness. I mean, the hygiene. It's very important.
I was impressed when I saw the pictures on our report, actually. I was really impressed. I thought, wow, this is how a hospital should look.
Yeah.
You know? I was very impressed. And so, again, you know, go back to the VP. And again, we're talking about health. There's one here which is interesting because I have contacted these people. Disrupt TV celebrates season finale of Startup Diaries. It was just across the road from us at Alliance Francaise. But I wasn't able to go because I was busy working. Babuka, when are you coming back? You know, so you know, I wanted to attend this season finale. But essentially, what they do, they did a whole series on YouTube of people who have got startup businesses, and it's really good. I would tell people to watch it. Really, really good. So, you know, 10 episodes.
So it's a startup diary.
Yeah, Startup Diaries, 10 episodes, 330 hours have been watched, and they gave all the kind of you know, statistics.
Interesting.
And you could have, if you'd gone, you could speak to some of the people. So I arranged with them that we will invite some of them and speak to them.
Are these young people?
Young people.
Okay.
Young people.
Then that's the content for me.
In the main, young people.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So exactly.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mr. Ade, for joining us on the
Pleasure.
newspaper review. Looking forward to another conversation. I think a marriage counselor can really do well coming on the program to talk about mental health related matters and marriage.
Day we have a marriage counselor, we should cancel all other segments of the show.
We'll be having the card
because that's a deep
No, but also a mental health, because people are on the streets, they are mad.
It's this stuff. It's deep
because of problems at home. And it's the facts.
Well, it's important. Don't allow the situation to control you.
But don't also allow the situation to dictate your actions. Thank you, Mr. Ade, for joining us.
Always
all right.
Yes, so we'll go for a short break, and when we come back, we'll head right on to a discussion with NDMA. The Deputy Executive Director is here, and we're talking to us about, well, we did talk about preparedness already, so this is just a follow-up on, you know, some of the areas that have been affected as we speak in relation to the rain and the way forward. We'll be right back.
Check out the all-new Tigo 8 at S-Pass Motors. Call 3522-222 or 353-2222 for more information.
Cherry. Have you been looking for the perfect indoor router with long-range Wi-Fi coverage and faster internet speed connecting all your smart devices? Well, we present to you the QCell Indoor Router, a router that has all you need and much more. For just $4,275, you can get 4G plus internet speed, wide coverage, and connect up to 15 devices. That's not all. The indoor router can be used for both office and home needs. So, enhance your internet experience with our indoor router. For more info, call our customer care on 111. QCell, Sunubus, we innovate, others follow.
Welcome back from that short break. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV this morning. And now we head right on to our community watch. And like I introduced, preparedness in relation to the rainy season. We've already discussed that prior, which was a good thing, at least giving the public the heads up that they need. So now these are just follow-ups that we'll be having throughout the rainy season and after the rainy season, just to check progress, what has been done and all of that. So we're joined by the Deputy Executive Director of NDMA, Mr. Juve. Thank you so much for always willing, you know, to have conversations with us.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Yeah, so first, we talked about the preparedness prior mechanisms put in place.
Exactly.
But now let's focus on already existing problems and how we will be able to solve them, because even on the voice here we have that downpour affects the Pakunda Farakona neighborhood. I passed through traffic light, you know, traffic light on the on the breach, and I also saw how, you know, the breach that they constructed, it really has a problem because there's some form of flooding. You know, Abraham, I've also seen other areas currently that need problems. So the question that the public continues to ask is, prior to these, why is it that the necessary steps are not taken before the rainy season starts? You know, why are we always reactive
when problems happen? Yes.
Yeah. Why is that?
I can see that you are actually becoming a disaster expert, because the issue is we need to be proactive.
Exactly.
Not to be reactive.
Exactly.
However, you know, in dealing with disaster preparedness, sometimes what you think may happen and what might happen is an issue. If you look at the whole of the KM area, the canal, that's the Kotu stream, is the main issue. And this we ensured prior to the rains that we collaborated with KMC to ensure that it is dredged. Dredging meaning you are allowing the flow of water so that it could move on to areas where people's infrastructure would not be inundated. Okay? Now, once the rain started now, we had seen some emerging areas that perhaps by virtue of the infrastructure that is put around that area created that blockage, resulting to volumes of water being dislodged at a certain particular area. If you look at the terrain, the waterway terrain within the KM area, is more of looking at the Kotu stream. Once it is stretched to the end, it allows the actual flow. But looking at the construction aspect in which the Gambian populace we are notorious of doing is settling within waterways. These are things that creates some problems, and unless and until we collaborate with other people to address those issues, those things would continue.
So who is responsible? Who is responsible to ensure that these regulations are followed up on? Now, you know, when somebody is going to settle in an area that, you know, it's not habitable.
And
also it's important we know if the footage that we are seeing is archived or this is happening now, because we don't want to create any form of confusion. So we want to know if that's archived or if that is this. Yes, we want to know.
Yeah, I think that's also another important component.
Just to ensure
now, you've talked about an area. When you talk about settlement issues, we already know the institution that is responsible. And I think it's quite pertinent that as part of this show, I would bring it as a recommendation to also have them on board, because when you come on talking about settlement, it's not the domain of my agency. It's the domain of the physical planning. They are the people who give the orders for people to settle. What are the problems as far as the legislation issues are concerned? This they need to come out.
But
and
then,
make it clear
Mr. Juf, you have to understand that because of the lack of coordination there, then that brings problems to NDMA, because when disasters happen, you're the first point of call as to coordinating things. So now, what is the relationship to ensure that maybe there's a committee or something, if they're selecting areas, you're also involved to actually assess to see if these are areas that are disaster prone?
I would partially relate it to coordination.
Yes.
Simply because when approvals of settlements are given, NDMA is not part and parcel of that particular system. What we do know, we have very good collaborative efforts with the physical planning, because they are the one in authority for demolition. But we are the one with the gadgets to undertake demolition. So whenever there is a decision that this place by virtue of hazard A, B, C needs to be relocated, they would then contact us on the grounds that we are having equipments that could be used to do demolition. That's where the collaboration would come in. So this is why I said, yes, I would give it partially on the issue of coordination, because when they need our services, we are always in order to ensure that the materials are given to them on gratis, so that they undertake the work they're supposed to do. However, we also need to understand that when it is time to give plots of land or allow people to settle, in those times NDMA is never contacted.
At a time, sure.
We are not. And I think it's high time we change the status quo. Now, the issue of land and the issue of settlement is no more it's not only the responsibility of physical planning. There are key stakeholders that needs to be given the power. that gifts to be given to be added onto their mandate to ensure that we liaise with each other, we ensure that there is better planning, better implementation, so to avoid some of the things that you are currently talking about. NDMA is mostly contacted when it becomes worse, when the destruction is already done. And when the disaster preparedness is not, or NDMA's job is not only to respond to disasters. We are there to prepare.
To prevent.
You know, we are there to prepare, to prevent, to mitigate. Respond is the last that we're supposed to do. So by the time allocations are being given, by the time construction is being given, and so on and so forth, we should be part and parcel of the process.
True.
Because we need to understand the topography of the area in which people are settling.
Serigne Modou, I think we have a problem here. I mean, it's not only NDMA and physical planning. I think most of the departments in this country, coordination, it's their problem. So at the end of time, if you invite people like food safety here, they will tend to blame other people. If you invite Gambia Standards Bureau, they'll try to point out to other departments without proper coordination. So how soon are you going to engage the physical planning, at least to start doing this? Prevention is better than cure. I mean, all these resources that you put in helping people, I mean, in difficulty, you can use that for other development.
Yeah, the issue is, it's not an issue of NDMA contacting physical planning.
It's about changing the
This is about policy issues. This is about policy issues. And I quite agree with you. It's becoming a norm in this country, where people take the mandate of their institution on their chest to say, it's our mandate to do A, B, C, and D. But yes, it is your mandate, but in the quest for you to implement what your task is supposed to be, there would be elements that would need somebody's input. And this is where we need to create that collaboration, that synergy. Institutions must have to create a synergy to be able to do things rightly. You understand? And this is one aspect that in the Gambia is actually failing, because institutions are not ready to network. Institutions are not ready to collaborate. Institutions are not ready to coordinate among themselves. You understand? Now, I just had, just give you an example. Just yesterday this time, I had a project, somebody somewhere, a high official, who was at my office. He's developing some proposals in this country. But at the tail end of the proposal, she came to understand that NDMA has a take in all that we are doing. And she just gave a call. I said, come to my office right away. We worked it out. And I hope the way and manner in which it is tailored in that document, when it comes to implementation, that same opportunity will be given to NDMA. When you, in Gambia, when you are developing project proposals to get the money, all the institutions, you need their information. To have the actual justification of getting the funding, you will be contacted. Wait until implementation.
Then.
Wait until you see institutions being sidelined. And any institution you sideline, when it goes to the tail end of the institution, the impact will become negative, because somebody somewhere is missing that should have been there. So it's that notion that we need to forgo.
So how should we change the narrative?
What we should do is we need to look at the policy frameworks. I'm happy that the current administration have created that that sort of a sector at the office of the president to look at the current mandates of institutions and see where the conflicting roles are. And once that is done, we need to now create that synergy of, we need to know who is doing what, when, and where. You understand? And then we compare it with the other institutions so that we will not have any duplication. And most of what we are doing, one institution is duplicating against another institution. And institutions are so wise enough now that they know where the money is. The money is where? It's on DRR and climate change. So all sectors are moving their direction to that area to get the funding. It's not bad. But ensure that those relevant institutions who could be instrumental in ensuring that there is proper implementation, get them on board. Because we are working as a country. And if as we work as a country, there is the media. You are key in almost all that is being done in this country. How much of the projects and programs undergoing are you involved? They just call you when they want coverages. when information dissemination is key from the time of planning, going through the implementation up to the end of every project. So, but you are just needed to come and open, we're putting up, today is the laying of the foundation stone. Validation, you come. Period, you are gone. But it is an entire process that information dissemination undertakes in all aspects of development. And there is no point that one should stop leaving the others to continue.
So Mr. Juice, before we move, just to say that the footage that you saw and the ones that you see subsequently are archived. It's not this there. That is 2021. We do not want to raise any form of false alarm as part of disaster communication anyway.
Thank you.
So
I love that.
Yeah, we don't want that. So moving on. Now let's focus on currently areas that are affected. Because, for example, downpour affects the Pakunda Farokono neighborhood, the bridge, other areas. Is there a team currently to go and do the necessary inspections and to come together as a task force to solve these problems as we go?
As we speak, already the assessment team is on the ground as far as KM is concerned, and of course all the regions, and they are collecting the data. Let me just remind you that the issue of the Kotu stream and others must not be a surprise to anyone. The recommendation as far as NDMA is concerned is for them to be relocated. But looking at the type of settlement and structures you have there is impossible for that to happen, because we all know the settlement itself is not at its right place. Already the whole place is in, we all knew those are areas where people used to grow rice. They are the swampy areas. People decided to settle. So they risk that life of settling in a waterway. So if you settle in a waterway, don't be surprised. Any little water, you will be impacted. However,
but it's the role of the state
at this point. It's the role of the state to ensure that they are relocated.
Right.
You understand?
Right.
And the relocation, it is not something easy, as easily said. One, you need to identify the space. One, you need to get the actual funding to ensure that you give them to build for themselves. You understand? And
so are we going to wait till there's a huge disaster?
It involves a lot of it. There had been studies that were carried out to look at the feasibility of them being relocating or trying to upgrade
the structure,
the place for it to be habitable. However, all of this needs actual funding, and I'm sure government is not giving side, because every year we undertake a study called the hotspot areas that we map out throughout the country to inform government that these are areas that have the potential to cause a disaster. Okay, and that place is already part and parcel of it, and I'm sure we are working with government.
So what about small neighborhoods? Bakau, Farokona, this place, that place,
Bakau, of course you call it Bakau. What's the end of the last name? Farokona.
So it's the same thing anyway.
I mean, they all form under
the swampy.
Exactly.
What about Ibo Town?
Even Ibo Town is part of this. Was why we had this the dredging of the Kotu stream, which leads to Ibo Town, because the supply that comes from that terrain going up to Lamin passes through that area. So we felt if it is stretched, you know, there would be easy passage of water. But like I said, we know where the terrain is, and this is why we concentrate very much on that stretch, on that stream. However, in the process, there are blockages of structures that prevent water from moving. Now, once that is the case, physical planners should now come and say, because NDMA don't have the mandate to destroy, to demolish. Okay, so once the issue is flagged, and other institutions should pick up that issue and ensure that they also operate as they do. If they don't have the materials to demolish, I said we have the materials that we could always give for them to do so.
So how are our drones? I just hope our drones are not lying in the office.
The drones are doing their job. They're going around taking pictures. Already, I have statistics of currently what is happening. So far,
using the drone.
Yeah, up to yesterday, we knew which areas are getting more and more affected. We are trying to compile a report that I would be more than willing to come and share with this very forum. We've also created a forum called an emergency forum, where all the stakeholders in this disaster risk reduction are giving feedback on every second as to what is happening, at where, and so on and so forth. So far, we have not registered any life lost. What we have seen properties and so on that are being inundated.
Are the percentages out already? Can you share them, but not yet?
I'm just trying to finalize, because like you, I did it up to yesterday. You remember the whole of almost yesterday night there had been rains, and reports are still coming. So possibly before the end of the day I can.
So due to time constraints, before you leave, the oil spill, how far are we with that? You know,
the oil spill now, we are now looking at, we were able to scoop the oil from the various areas that it had happened. The legal aspect is now what is being pursued, and the legal aspect is handled by the National Environment Agency, because they give the approval for the operation. NDMA went into it on the side of the disaster aspect as to how it could cause to the ecology, and thank God we mobilized the resources available, both in terms of personnel and so on, and we actually did the job. So NEA would be in a position to tell you how far they are, because yes, what was agreed at the onset was that yes, we will do the job to rescue the ecosystem, but after that the legal aspect of it needs to be looked at by the institution who gives the permit for them to operate. And I think NEA and PURA were the ones really working on that. I'm part of the committee, but that was the latest development.
Yes, when it comes to the oil spill, I think most people are concentrating on the oil spill itself. What about the cause? Is NDMA concentrating on that so that this thing cannot repeat itself? I learned that there was a pipe that burst, that caused the oil spill. So what are we doing? Because most of these pipes are very old. That leads to that situation.
Yeah, I think the situation where it was caused by the burst pipe. You're right, but also we need to discourage the issue of discharging at night. You understand? Because anything could happen. The level of security and the level of observation that is supposed to be done during discharge is more visible during the day than during the night. And one of the things that happened was the discharge started at night, and then it was not properly fixed, resulting to this to happen. But like I said, when you talk of legal issues, you look at what are the implications, what are the causes, and so on and so forth. So that talks more of the legal aspect, which NEA is actually handling, and they would be the right person to give you some of these things. Our concern as an institution was the effects it could trigger into our ecosystem, loss of our fish, some of our biodiversity, mangroves and so on. That was why we took it upon ourselves in a coordinated manner to ensure that it was actually cleared of the mangrove. Some of the very affected mangroves, we have to uproot them before it could
transfer to the other. Yes, I learned that they've sent their drones.
Yes,
and they were able to go up to, is it Tendaba or
the issue is the issue of the advantages on the drones that we're using is that when it happened, sometimes you may think the scope may be within 100 200 meters, but then the drones were used to see whether there are other areas that could be impacted. You understand? And once it happened, it would boost our response mechanism. We would come and devise a way in which we are going to tackle it. So that was one of the primary reasons why we had to use the drone, because you may think it's only here that it covers, when even I received a call to say that it has gone as far as Bara at the Fort Blend.
Wow.
But it was through the drones, the photos that the drones took that told us that no, it was not true. And physically also, I spoke to the fire service head at Bara, and they physically went there and they said there were no traces. So we're using the drones at least to look at how far these things have gone and what possible impact it could give on the lives and the livelihood of the population.
I think we should also use this opportunity to beg, because we've tried several times. So I think we should beg now. Other agencies where we contact them and they refuse to come. There are certain agencies that you've mentioned. We need them to further justify some of the information that you're giving us. But where can we get it from? When we contact them, they ask us to write letters for clearance. You write the letter, you don't hear from them anymore. So at the end of the day, what are they hiding?
Yeah, I think it's an issue of perhaps we all need to
open up to the media and see us as partners.
But in the event there are issues that are coming and people are not ready to take responsibility, we need to improve on the advocacy. I suppose every government department is here to give services to the populace. We are here to serve the population. Right. I see no reason why my services or my thoughts is needed, and I decided to hide. You understand? Once you call yourself a public servant, this is why we call it the civil servant is a public servant.
Right.
You are paid out of the tax from the public. So if the public has something urgent that they need your attention, it should be your primary responsibility to come and give it out. There is no system that you can say I can have it 100% perfect. But what is the truth? You be bold enough to come and share with the people. It only gives you that trust and confidence from the public. Because if I start hiding and seeking, at the end of the day, you may feel, well, there's something wrong. I'm not ñuul ci sow bi. When actually it may be, it may not necessarily be.
Te lu ci bari sax sow bi daf day ñuul waaye génn leen ngeen wax ñu lu ci ñuul.
Well, NDMA, it's a department that we respect. I mean, it's an organization that we respect. Anytime they respond to our calls. I mean, what about Basse? Are you doing something about that area? The Kabakama, you know, disaster in Basse anyway? Yeah,
you know, Basse is one of our hotspot areas. It's among the areas that we identify as hotspots. In fact, now we are no more, just to qualify what you're saying, we are no more waiting until it happens. We are using the drones and other methodology to identify to government.
Waaw lan mooy drones sax xam nga tamit olof xëj na suñ ne drones xëj na man suma maam boobu noonu toog fële fu sori xëj na du xam drones sax mooy lan mooy drone.
yaa ma see mun a dimbale.
maa la see mun a dimbale. comme dafa mel ni xëj na caméra boo xam ne.
waaw
dafa mun a naaw.
waaw
ci air bi pour mun a jël
pour jël ay image.
waaw
yi nga xam ne ñoo nekk
dafa naaw fu sori.
waaw dafa naaw fu sori. you know jëm pour jël xibaar. isi ko su ko li ma jëlee moto di ci def essence di fay DSA. kooku di dem ba Basse. you know ba fay fu mu jaar Basse doo mun a dem tey ñëw tey. bi ko soo sori waay bi bii nag ci benn bés bi dina mun a dem. la fa xew mu ñëw wax ma ko ci saasi. pour ma mun a jël action. waaw loolu ci jumtuwaay xereñ yu bees yi nga xam ne moo ñëw ci àdduna te yàlla dima ñun am nañ ci ñeneent NDMA te du nekkul ne rek ñun ñoo ko use pour ma yëgal leen loolu am na léegi institution yu bari ñu ngi binda di ko abba like am na ñoo xam ne ñu ngi like GP Gambia Petroleum after incident bi call nañ ñu ne dañ ko soxla and NEA call nañ ñu ne dañ ko soxla ndax dañ bugg a def a mapping of the
bugguñ nag ñu abal leen suñ drones dañ bugg a gaay ut drones ñu jënda
déedéet waaye ñii am nañ
non waaye bu ñu yaaxal suñ drones
waaw waaye xam nga ñun ñëpp Gambia
benn secteur bi la
te benn éene bi la
waaw
éene bi mooy naka la réew mi jëmee kanam
waaw
so su ma amee xëy na yow li nga mën a def mooy li ko facilité because drones yi pour nga use leen you have to pay their pilots te pilots yi ñun biñ leen a train leen pour NDMA dañ jël from different institutions ñu train leen and ñun trainoon ñëpp not all of them ñoo pass am na ñoo xam ne dañ failoon examen so ñu fail certificate wuñ leen and they are not licensed waaye am na ñuñ licensed te nekk ci dëkk bi am na kenn ku nekk office of the president am na kenn ku nekk jibos am na ñaar ñu nekk suma office am na keneen ku nekk feneen so ñooñu boo leen jëlee da nga war a fay 2500 per day waaw pour service bi
parce que ñoom tam seen xam-xam waaye man Mr Diouf dinaa dem jàngi di drone ni ko dawalee de xaalis amatut si dëkk bi
Gambia la
su fekkee outside the country
su fekkee outside the country is 2500 per hour
maanaam pour drone
per hour $2,500
per hour waaw su fekkee outside the country waaye ñun nag benn dëkk bi la te koom-koom bi xam nga ne nim demee so
man de dinaa jàngi nu ñoo dawalee drone 2005 per day
yes
so drone bi where do they control it from dañoo toog nii benn place rek naawal ko
no normally actually nekkuma ci an expert so duma ci xóot te bëgguma I want you to try to be caught by catch-22
non dafa mel ni rek ñun Mr Diouf ñun tam am nañ suñ drone ñun as media dañ lay use drone so the same drone bi la rek
waaye ñun suñ bos dafa different
benn bi la
yow yaay taxaw ni nga naawal ko
waaw benn bi la
ñun suñ bos mënu ta dem ba Basse
waaye dañ am different capacity
waaw
so ñun suñ bos du dem ba Basse waaye li issue bi mooy one you need to understand the terrain fi nga ko operator fan la understand you need to know because doo bugg a dem something get struck off it
dafa am yoon
mu am fu moo daan ba pare dafa am time understand moom bu demee ba nga xam ne yóbbu nga ko fi nga egga moom dina mën a xam ban time laay mën a dellu si waat ba egsi su time bi jotee rek dina la alarm yow ak foo mun di nekk den su ko defee nga press return button mu dellu si bu ñëwee ba egsi mu tag ba mu ñëwee fekkee batterie bee jeex nga changé understand and depending so benn bu ci nekk da nga am
waaye Mr Diouf bëggu ñoo toon affaire bi su nga lecture ñu drone bi nu moo dawee ñun xam nga lu ñu bëgg a xam naka la dëkk bi di doxee
yéen a ko laajte
disaster yi si dëkk bi nu moo doxee loolu lañ amal affaire de
man li ma leen a tontu
ñun amuñ affaire ak nu drone di naawee de
li ngeen man laaj loolu la leen a tontu boo leen man laaju toon di leen du ma leen tontu
waa léegi tontu
lecture ma leen dama lay wax rek
bugga na ñoo xam nu drone bi di doxee te yàgg na ñoo dégg drone man buñ ne
léegi su fekkee yéen drone bi daf la itteel am na expert at the office
buñ ne drone xam nga man suñ ne drone suma xel bi suñ drone yi la dee
yëpp benn la ñoom ñëpp si benn catégorie bi
waaye suñ drone bi du laaw ba base
de dafa dépend capacité la rek
bu ko toppa kii du yàppa du jën léegi dafa bëgg nga xam mooy ona sax la su fekkee yëfi drone daf leen soxlaa nu muy doxalee ak noonu am na technicien yoo xam ne mun naa leen a invite ñu ñëw ci programme bi wax leen from naka laa jógee
loolu soxaluñu xam nga lu ñu soxal naka la changes yi di amee ñun loolu ñu soxal de
changes yi war a xew yëpp danga ci bokk ma bokk ci
ma jël ko ñun ñëpp la
this is why
ñun ñëpp la ñuy téye wante
the issue is we have to stop personalizing things.
déedéet warut a am sax.
It's one country.
ñu
it's one people. It should be one vision.
waaw ba pare collective effort la.
ku ci am wàlla.
loo war a def nga def ko.
mu def ko
jëlal lii sa bos. wax keneen los bosam.
exactly
buñ demee noonu rek. lu bare ngay yàqu. dootul yàqooti. waaye li problème bi mooy. people dañ dee personalize things.
te warut a am sax.
project su bari ñu ngi fee dox boo fa demee di nga gis so many institutions they have a take. they are not even consulted. da nga tooy dégg ne programme
sangam def nañ ne xaalis bi ñooñu tam dañ si war a am.
exactly and I think it's an issue that government should take note of. and ensure that I'm very happy that with the current leadership, especially the vice president, that's currently the tone. That he has given, that things have to be coordinated, things have to be planned and time bound, and people must be seen to be delivering. Understand? It's not an issue of talk. We want to see results. We want to see results.
waaw Mr Diouf fu mu nekk nii nag foog ñu bàyyi la nga dem. parce que ñu ngi fi am waa fact check. su ko defee fact check ñu ñëw check sa fact si.
waaw fact check ñoom ku leen di fact check ñoom.
fact check ñoom tam su ñëwee dinañu ko wax man maa leen di fact check maa Ibrahima Balde ñooy fact check su ko defee fact check ñoo fact check
d'accord
non Serigne Modou we are very happy
waaw yow
anytime you invite la da nga willing pour you xam nga ñu ne bu nekkee ne yow moom sa consent mu ngi clair da nga always ñëw lii mooy nation development
Mr Diouf moom is our Mr Diouf wax dëgg
waaye séeréer nag séeréer
mu ne man du ma yàppa du jël war naa toog di ma wax Ibrahima
thank you very much also my pleasure. I just feel that I'm a public servant.
Wow.
And when my duty is needed, it's my responsibility to come and speak about it. If in the event there are also more difficulties coming, I should not feel shy to come and talk about it. Because the person's sickness can only be known to the doctor after your revelation. So I also thank you very much for your proactiveness. And one of my recommendations is, as public servants, you need to put us on our toes. Don't leave us to do even where you try, it doesn't succeed. Keep on trying. It's our responsibility to be accountable to the Gambian population. So thank you very much. Thank you, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So Mr Diouf fu mu nekk nii dama bëgg nga toog ak man ñu tëj programme bi yow tamit dama la bëgg a jox.
yow yaa ngi fact check fi kay.
waaw fact check fi waaye dama bëgg nga tëj ak man tëjal la man programme bi.
d'accord
nañ tëj.
li ma wax ngi nii doo yàpp doo
waaw nañ tëj.
doo yàpp doo jël.
waaw nañ tëjandoo. waaw so fu mu nekk nii we will just go for a short break, and when we come back we'll be joined by Omar Cyber Camara to talk about Fact Check Gambia and some of the developments since its establishment. We'll be right back.
Your favorite QCell service has gotten bigger. eFunkanta. Now you can loan bigger credit amounts to make life easier for you. Loan $75C and $100C and pay later. Yes, you heard me right. Get credit loan from $10C to $100C using eFunkanta by dialing *393#. Anytime you run out of credit, whether you want to buy Q-Power, browse the internet, make urgent calls, or send SMS, eFunkanta is the service for you. Dial *393# and choose the loan amount of your choice with no hassle. For more information, call our customer care on 111. QCell, Sunyabus, the pioneers of mobile loan service in the Gambia. We innovate, others follow. Terms and conditions apply.
Light. From the beginning of time, light has been there.
It is integral to our survival and to our way of living.
We need light to work,
To build,
to grow things, and even to see our loved ones.
light makes things easier and better.
So QCell has changed the way you buy Q-Power to make it easier and more accessible.
You can now access the same service quickly and get your cash power tokens instantly with the new QCell Q-Power code.
To light up your world, simply dial *363#.
With a touch of your fingers,
With ease and convenience from the comfort of your home or office,
you can bring light into your world instantly with *363#.
Q-Power, lighting your world.
QCell Sunyabus.
We innovate, others follow.
Right, welcome from that break. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV this morning. Now let's check the facts as we are here with Fact Check Gambia. Thank you so much, Omar Cyber Camera, for joining us. So as founder of Fact Check Gambia, you know, why? Obvious question anyway. Why did you see the need to actually come up with a team and establish a whole organization just to take a look at Fact Check? But before we talk to Omar, Ibrahim, have you ever heard of Fact Check Gambia
Yes,
before?
I think we invited them here on this
No.
program. Or is it the first time?
This is the first time they're coming on.
Okay, I think, yes.
You know,
I
so they
heard
have a whole
about them
team.
somewhere.
Yeah.
Fact check. I think the idea is good. I mean, it's important to check certain things. It's important to verify certain things.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we are living in a generation of social media. I mean, most people don't fact check certain things. They just pick it and throw it in public.
Tell us all about it, Cyber.
All right, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Good morning, everybody out there, and I'm glad to be on this platform.
Yeah.
So certainly before I start, I think we lost a very prominent and productive young person by the name Noah Nyasi from UNDP. I will send condolences to Combo East and then the entire family of the Nyasi Kunda. Moving on, the Fact Check Center idea came about when I was fortunate to be exposed as an activist. It has always been passionate to create something that will really impact in the space of civil society in this country. And at some point in 2020, I started working for the Center for Research and Policy Development. And part of the projects I was working on as the program associate for democratic governance was fake news through a project from CDD Nigeria.
Yeah.
And when the project phased out, I thought about reflecting what happened here in 2016, one of the major things that led to the political impasse and all what is surrounding was disinformation and misinformation.
Right.
Probably it wasn't in the Gambia and people did not pay attention to that particular part of it. So that's where the inspirational start. So I decided to develop a concept to look at how can we establish a whole organization in the Gambia, not to outsource, but to have our own organization that will work around countering disinformation and misinformation to promote peace, democratic governance, and then the rule of law. So I came up with the idea and then invited the team. So fortunately, I had this friend from the university. We were together the political science, so we co-founded it. That's Mariama Danso. So that's how the Fact Check Center came about.
Okay, all right, interesting. I mean, I think you're embarking on a very hard task. I mean, checking facts it's not very easy, especially, you know, the things that are happening. How successful are you when it comes to checking these facts since you started?
Yes, so in a country like the Gambia, where I think Mr. Juve just said here, access to information is a nightmare. The government sits on information entirely, and then even citizens, at some point, somebody will deliberately mislead you, and then we will call that misleading the fact checkers, which could be very, very dangerous for both the fact checkers and that of the public. So we have registered a whole lot of success, and starting with the first fact check we did just a week after we came into office was the issue of the MOU between the MPP and that of the APRC. And the way we were able to fact check and then clear the doubts on that was one of the most prominent fact checks that we start with. But moreover, when we started, what the biggest success is polarizing the issue of disinformation and misinformation in the Gambia. It has not been common. People don't even know about them. You know, people don't know that people know that lies exist, but people don't know that there are lies that are deliberate and that are just propaganda and that are just there to mislead the public for a purpose by the individual that create that content or story. So that is one thing that we call as the biggest achievement, to ensure that Gambians are aware of. There is something called disinformation, misinformation, and somebody can just sit behind his or her mobile phone and just record anything just to mislead you for a purpose well known to him. And moving on, for the first time, the Fact Check Center, in collaboration with CDD Nigeria and Center for Research and Policy Development, did election monitoring. We established an election analysis center purposely on checking issues and stories and content online to counter fake news and disinformation during elections. And this makes it different from 2016, that there was a whole lot of chaos in our media environment, especially in social media, simply because there was nobody checking on information, so information was flowing anyhow, anybody was saying anything. So this other time becomes different, and this is one of the unique things that happened in the 2021 presidential elections towards the parliamentary elections, and that gives us the spotlight as well, because it was after the presidential election we were able to move from a home organization where we just sit at home. I will call Geneva and say, can you fact check this? I'll call this, to where EU was able to give us all the necessary equipment to set up an office to start operating from an office level. And then moving on, we were able to also train journalists. We were able to do some meetings both online and on site to engage journalists, to engage civil society on means of ensuring that there is that center where we will be able to tackle fake news and disinformation. And mind you, that has also reduced the space, because right now, whoever is going to record anything knows that obviously the fact check center is out there, and then they're going to go after you, and then they will ensure that whether it is true or not.
So, Cyber, where's the money coming from? Because we want to be sure that fact checkers, you don't also have a understand? So that we want it to be like independent in a way that you're accent conscience and you're working to clear the air when it comes to certain issues.
Yeah, so you'll be surprised that we are going to be 1 month in a month. We are going to be 1 year in a month time, and we have not received any major funds from anybody. We technically and literally is funding ourselves for now. We only do partnerships where we want to do a meeting, maybe IR come in, pay the hall, pay the bills and all of that, but we don't have direct fundings from any organization.
Where administrators are paid,
and all of that. No, we're doing it entirely on our own, and then technically on a voluntary basis for the last 1 year. And even though right now we are opening to a lot of donor partnerships and meetings, but for now we cannot say we are relying on any donor particularly to do. So coming about the fact check center, one thing we can do, we have individuals that once or twice reach out to us, but we cannot take funds from individuals, because tomorrow you can be fact checked, and then we cannot take your money and then you believe that you are entitled, just like the way
you have immunity.
Exactly. And then we don't mind who we fact check. We'll fact check everybody as far as a claim comes on you. So
so now what happened to the person that mislead the fact checkers?
Yes, so one of the advocacy point we have right now, so for us, our different with other fact-checking organizations as well, is we're not just focusing on countering the fact, we're also focusing on certain advocacies to ensure that those facts don't exist, those claims don't exist in the first place, to fact-check them. And one of them is regulations. So we will be advocating for laws and regulations that will monitor the fact checkers as well as individuals that potentially mislead the fact checkers. But also, we are not perfect. So we can always clarify that we have been misled, like it happens. Unfortunately, right now, we will come into the issue of CA probably. When Dr. Ismaila met President Barrow.
Yeah, we can take a look at that. There's, I think the Dr. Ismaila said we have something like that here, the fact check, the claim and the verdict. So if we can just have that now, so we discuss that. Yeah, that's right in front of us. So the claim is that Ismaila Ceesay was given pickup trucks by President Adama Barrow of NPP during the December 4th presidential elections 2021, and that's the verdict. So what do you want to tell us?
So what happened is, before we get to this one is just latest, and then probably people will be surprised that Ismaila and his team are threatening to sue to court, but we want to see them in court. But before that, we will talk about when he misled the fact checkers. He went to
Dr.
meet President
Ismail
Barrow,
Assisi.
yes. And in the rules, in the principles of fact-checking, the parties involved are very important in the research.
Okay.
You must able to read to them. You must get their own start of the story and investigate. But what happened to us was, whoever is a potential informer at that time were all interested in the meeting of President Barrow. So they misled us. Doctor told us he didn't go to President Barrow. We clarify from certain other people that I don't know if he influenced those people to all have the same response to us. So we believe in the story. And then we published, and we were dragged, and this is where the whole issue of hashtag fact check the fact checkers came about. But we know what is we're not perfect. We can always make mistakes.
Okay.
And then now that we fact check again, and then this is the longest fact check we had, the most careful fact check we had. Remember, this claim came up since post elections in 2021 December. We still have to drag it up to last week to publish because we wanted to be sure, you know. And what happened when we published this? Ismail did not go out to debunk. He didn't go out to say it's not true. There is no message in, even there are WhatsApp groups that say it is not true. All what he does was to call and say they want evidence from Fact Check Center to back the claim that our researchers did a good job. We told them we don't give evidence out. Let's say, for example, if we tell them it's Geneva that did. Next time we want to talk to Geneva, we don't have information from Geneva. What you do is, if a fact checker check you and publish, you know that what we fact check is not right, you counter. Then you put us in a situation to clarify, to be held accountable by the citizens, and now the citizens will fact check us, and then the truth will come out. They did not do that. But what I suspect was that they just, because he yesterday went on media and accept that he pickups and all of that. So what we suspect was they were trying to threaten us, but forgetting that probably Doctor knows me very well. We have been very close. Likewise, my programs manager. So the mistake was threatening Saibo to do what he doesn't want to do. That's the biggest.
Are you sure?
Come on, that's the biggest mistake anybody can do. Like
he tried to shut you up.
Exactly, but not him directly. He will call me, laugh with me while he used somebody down, one alley from Switzerland and all of that. But that's fine.
That's a huge allegation there.
So that is I know. So but the whole thing is we are prone to mistakes as fact checkers. We can be misled, even though it's no room for it.
However, I think you are prone to mistakes, but expensive mistakes. We should avoid it.
Yes. Of course, and we avoid it. That's why before we release a fact check, we ensure that the sources are there and it's accurate and all of that. So the job is not an easy one, but we will ensure that we pick it up and we will go all out to ensure that Gambians are not misled anymore just by the government, by the public and anybody, and we will fact check anybody a claim surrounds around to ensure that the accurate information, reliable information.
We also saw the claim that the so-called Team Restore Confidence executive has been leaked by their own member. We saw that as well, and then the verdict came that it is found that the list circulating on social media to be untrue and misleading. I think currently GFF elections, I think you'll be checking a lot of facts.
Yeah, so that's it. So what happened was, for that one, we were vindicated. We published this in the morning, and in the afternoon, the Team Restore Confidence released their list, and nobody apart from the president, and that was indicated in our report, was found to be in the team that he released, contrary to what have been going on social media at that time. So misinformation is taking an increased space in our democratic system, and that is really dangerous for our peace and progress. People sitting out there just because you disagree with somebody, you pop into to creating contents that are totally fake because you don't know what it does, where it ends up, and all of that. So I think Gambians should really understand that this information could go beyond what they think it does. Yes.
Yeah, that is true. So what is the way forward now? 1 year, I've seen that you are now part of the an African group on fact checkers, and you were talking about how you've reached out to them prior, and it was a problem, and then now they're actually inviting you guys to join in.
Yes, so actually did not reach out to them. We wanted to reach out to them. So what happened was we went on the internet to find out where we can have networks, because one of the fundamental things in advocacy is to connect corporations, is to partner. So when we saw Africa Check, and we wanted to join them, but at the time when you look at the requirements, we don't even meet any of the requirements. So I was like, okay, let's just let this go. Probably sometime we will register again after 1 year. And I went to the office yesterday, just going through emails, and I found that they now follow us and they know what we are doing, and they are now requesting us to join without the application process.
Amazing.
Because they believe we could do, yes,
facts.
we're checking the facts, and then we're doing extremely well to an extent that they want us to be part of the network. And in the network, I think they have 20 countries, and Gambia is now 21 with the fact check center. So that's a huge step for the fact check center and for a win to ensure that our job is not just in the Gambia, but is going beyond. And then for sure we will do more of those kind of things. And then that also gives us an opportunity now that if you join with them, if you're in their network, now you can also access directly the international network of fact checkers.
Yeah. So I just hope the fact check is not just going to run after the government and forget about the opposition. I know you know the one that you did on CA, fine, it's opposition, but sometimes you can see that there's so much concentration on government, and the opposition is whatever the case, government in waiting.
Well, so we are not selective in the fact checks we do. We can fact check the little things that people think don't matter. We don't leave anything on unless we don't able to have accurate information, reliable information that we believe in that could not be anyway misleading the fact checkers themselves. So we go after anybody that is put in a claim, being the government or not. And then also we realize that in other parts, if you're reading things about this information, the concentration is on the government. But I want to tell you this, the Gambia is a whole different case. In the Gambia, the government mislead the public, obviously. But the public misleading their fellow public is what is high. You see people in communities trying to build up, trying to fake issues, trying to talk about things. So for us, it's everybody. We go, as much as we go after the government, we go after political parties, we go after individuals, prominent people, we go after anybody whose information could be misleading or unreliable.
Okay,
yes.
So I think
Exactly.
Cyber, I think that is all
Well,
we have time for.
I think my question is not answered.
Which one?
I said, what about if a person is found wanting of misleading the fact checkers? Do you have the power to prosecute?
No, the whole issue is there are no laws regulating disinformation in this country, so that makes it very difficult to do that, even though we could want to take legal actions from individually, but there are no laws bagging that. But that is one of the advocacy. The only thing that is preventing that is that most of the media fraternity believe laws against disinformation or misinformation is a threat to freedom of expression and media. So that is making it a bit difficult, but the conversations will spark around regulating laws and then issues that will obviously put in place so that nobody misleads anybody, including the fact checkers and all of that. And so I want to say this, we also developing a website and with support from the US Embassy, the Gambia, and we will launch it in one more time. So probably we will have we have QTV over there again, and we have more conversations.
So we already talked about the GFF as well. We talked about the GFF, CA, and other things there. Yeah, we've talked about this one already. So I think, Cyber, this is all that we have time for. We'll just allow you to leave, and congratulations on your 1-year anniversary. So we'll go for a short break, and when we come back,
yes, I think that's the end of
the end of it. Is it?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So yeah, so that is all we have time for till we come your way tomorrow with another interesting program. Congratulations once again.
Thank you.
And bye for now.